Unitree Robotics has seen huge demand for its IPO in Shanghai, with investors applying for more than 8,000 times the shares on offer. That means most investors will receive only a fraction of what they requested, or nothing at all, underscoring the intense appetite for China's humanoid robotics sector. The company had set its IPO price at about $22.35 per share, valuing Unitree at roughly $8.5 billion. The IPO is expected to raise about $900 million. Around 20% of the shares have been reserved for key investors, and that group includes AI startup DeepSeek and tech giant Tencent, as well as state-owned heavyweights China National Petroleum Corporation, China Southern Power Grid, and China Telecom. Lian Jye Su is chief analyst at tech research and advisory group Omdia.
I think it is fair to say that Unitree kind of represent this new facet of Chinese technological advancement. We used to think of China being this exporter of, let's say, EV, electronic vehicles or solar panels. But now I think over the past 2 years, China has almost in some ways reinvent itself to become this industrial and AI giant, and Unitree as the sort of like the embodiment of both robotics and AI is almost like the perfect examples of this transition that China is undergoing.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the numbers, it's almost as if investors are being asked to bet on growth over near-term earnings. Do you think that's the right trade-off at this stage of the robotics race?
I think if you look at Unitree solely as sort of like this provider of this future robotics form factor, which is basically quadrupeds and humanoid robots, looking at the future and judging it based on the future performance is probably the most prudent way of looking at Unitree as a company. Now, obviously, similar practices will be practiced across other industry, especially in AI, where if you look at similar companies that came out of China this year, Minimax or ZAI, they're all being evaluated based on their future performance and capability. So it is not too far-fetched to sort of ask for that trade-off from the investor. But obviously, I think Unitree carries a very strong cash flow and sort of being able to generate sufficient, let's say, revenue based on its current lineup of robots. It's just that for it to reach its peak of power, it does need some time. It does need some evolution further down the line.
You talked about the current lineup of robots, but Unitree has said that future models could face US restrictions. Do you think that makes markets outside the West even more important for the company?
I will argue that the market that is in the West, but that's not US, will be even more important for companies like Unitree. If we just take Agibot, Unitree's biggest competitor in China as an example, they recently had an ecosystem event in London, showcasing all their European-based system integrators and partners that will help them to launch their robots in the Western European markets and the Eastern European markets. And those will be critical to humanoid robotics vendors in China, where they are looking for markets outside of China, outside of APAC. They are either friendly to them or sort of are looking for strong alternative to the US solution.
Now, private humanoid robot makers are being valued far higher, but behind closed doors. You know, now the market gets to set Unitree's price every single day. Do you think that this IPO is the reality check that the whole sector has been missing?
I must say, I do agree. Unitree going IPO is the bellwether. Now it's becoming the de facto bellwether for the broader humanoid robotics market. As I mentioned earlier on, Unitree does have very strong lineups of products and services and does generate a strong cash flow based on those products and services. So it's not too, let's say, far-fetched to say it does represent a company that's rather successful in this domain and has the ambition and the capability to push the boundary further down the line.